All right, ladies. Welcome, welcome. This is my mic. Since the other mic wasn't working, so now I'm gonna have to. It's not projecting. It's just my voice. So this is like Bob Barker meets Tim the Toolman Taylor, and so we're gonna make this work. But we'll hand this off to all the speakers as they talk, just so we can capture the audio and we can share it with more people who are here. But thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. First, we're gonna start off with Dr. Eric Durci from Durci Chocolate, and then we're going to bring up Erin and Lisa to talk all things ladies' health and whatnot. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Doc, go ahead and take it away. You can hold the.
Okay.
Hold the mic. Yeah, all right. And then I'll be the handing out all the goods as you go.
Sounds good. So I've spoken about chocolate all over the place, right? And my wife today, she loves to plan and she's very organized, and I am not. But today she starts giving me pointers, like maybe you should talk about. I'm like, hold on, Cassandra, I'm talking chocolate to a group of women. I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay. You're pretty much my ideal group of people to talk to. So how many of you knew that chocolate is and can be a part of a healthy diet? Okay, good. That's great, because a lot of people aren't aware of that. So many of the chocolates that are out there are full of fillers and sugars and all sorts of added things. That isn't something that you would want to include. But a high cacao content chocolate has incredible benefits for you. All sorts of different things that can help curb appetite. It actually can promote ghrelin, G-H-R-E-L-I-N, which is a hormone that is proven to reduce your appetite. It also has serotonin, and serotonin makes you feel satiated and makes you feel satisfied. So there's a couple of things in there. But cacao has other things. It has anandamide. Anandamide is known as the bliss chemical. So when we're feeling blissful, anandamide is released in the brain. There also are two other compounds that slow down the breakdown of anandamide, so it just makes you feel good. It also has phenylethylamine, which is known as the love chemical. So when you're falling in love, phenylethylamine is released. Cacao has that as well. It also has an incredible stimulant. The stimulant in cacao is not like caffeine. It lasts a lot longer, but it doesn't make you feel jittery. It's kind of like a good night's sleep. It's called theobromine. Theobromine is another thing that helps to elevate your mood. So anyway, if you're wondering why we're here talking about healthy chocolate, that's just a brief overview. I'm a chiropractor. For over 20 years now, I've been practicing, and I focused a lot on health and nutrition. And how did I get here? How did I get to where I have a chocolate company? Well, it's a long roundabout story, but basically focusing a lot on health and nutrition and talking to my patients and trying to help educate them about it, I started hearing all these studies talking about how chocolate was healthy, and I'm like, y'all are smoking something, because chocolate is not healthy. Like, what are you talking about? A Hershey's bar? There's nothing healthy about that. Well, the more I looked into it, I found that the cacao bean is an incredible superfood. It was known for thousands of years to improve the health of people. There's something called the Florentine Codex that the Spanish monks put together whenever they first came to the Americas, documenting everything that they found. They listed over 1,400 medicinal uses of cacao. Pretty incredible, right? And science is only just now catching up and proving some of these things that they claimed cacao was able to do. So I realized, like, there's something amazing here, and I need to find out how can I bring chocolate back to its roots and maintain the healthful benefits, because along the way, whenever we commercialized it, a lot of things were done that minimized the health benefits. They started processing it much more heavily. They started adding a lot of additional sugar. They started adding a lot of dairy powders and things like this, and all of that really reduced the health that you're going to get from that. And the end of all of these articles that I would read said, all right, here's the benefits of it, but you need to have dark chocolate, and beware, it's high in fat and calories. So my first project was, how can I find a way of maintaining these health benefits without the fat and calories? So I came up with a way that you could actually brew cocoa beans. I work with cacao farmers all over the world. I had to come up with unique ways of fermenting and drying the bean so that it could be brewed and have a unique, a great flavor. If you took regular beans the way that they're processed for chocolate and you try brewing it, it'll actually be very bitter and very sour almost. So this is what I created back when I first started. It's called Creo Brew. It's cocoa beans, 100% that are roasted and ground, and you brew it like coffee. So that's what that is. If you want to pass that around and smell it,
Smells amazing.
It smells incredible.
Yeah.
So now when you're brewing your coffee, it smells like you're baking brownies. Pretty awesome, right? So the benefits of this are a cup of that has about 20 calories, 0 fat. But you get more antioxidants in a cup of that than you're going to get from a cup of blueberries. And you also get the theobromine. So the two primary compounds that are responsible for all of the health benefits in chocolate, lowers your chance of having dementia, lowers your chance of having heart attacks or cardiac problems, lowers your chance of stroke. All of those come from the specific flavonoids that are in cacao and the theobromine. Theobromine does another thing. It also increases blood flow while reducing your blood pressure because it relaxes the smooth muscle which is in your lungs and in your arteries. So you're able to have more blood circulating throughout the body, but that is better oxygenated. So it helps you to recover and to perform better. You can push yourself harder and recover faster. So I think it's pretty amazing. I've been fascinated with it. And the more I've learned about cacao, the more excited I got. And I'm like, this is something that the world has been missing out on.
Yeah, and so the two products he has here today, one is like my favorite. I got a jar of these the other day, and I eat maybe like 2 every other day, maybe 3. But they're chocolate covered cacao beans. And I love eating them, and I just feel super chill after eating them. And like it just helps me come down at the end of the day.
It's chocolate covered chocolate, come on.
So I'll pass this around. You guys can all just snag one.
Yes.
Just one.
So that is a whole cacao bean that's been hand peeled and covered in dark chocolate. So it balances out at around 85% would be what it tastes, what the total cacao content would be like. But you'll see, because it's a whole bean, it actually tastes a lot more pleasant and a lot smoother than that. So I worked with over 100 different farmers before I found one specific variety that actually tastes good in this format. Most raw cacao beans, they taste incredibly bitter. This one tastes nice. You'll taste the fruitiness that you get from that actually comes from the cacao bean. And I pair it with a specific chocolate that just helps marry those two together. That's incredibly healthy. When I first started doing this, testing it out, I would go to farmers markets and I would position myself at one end so that people started with me, and I would sample these things out and I would tell people the spiel, it's gonna make you feel better and yada, yada, yada. Everyone says that. Well, they would come back to me after they finished, got to the end of the farmer's market and be like, now hold on, tell me about this. What did you say? Because something feels different. Because they noticed that it made them feel different. And that's the thing about cacao, is if you don't really stop and pay attention to the way that you're feeling, you might just all of a sudden think you had a great day. But check yourself, how were you feeling 30 minutes ago? I was tired, I was lethargic, I was not motivated, and now all of a sudden I feel good. But because it's so natural, you just think, hey, I feel great. But cacao can really, really help the way that you feel. We have another...
Yeah, we're strategically passing those out now so that whenever we start talking about hormones, you guys feel okay.
That's right.
Yeah, they're more relaxed.
Oh, let me tell you, when I first started, we were looking for investors when I first started this, right? And I quickly learned that if I wanted a meeting to go better, we started out with the chocolate, and then we went into the details of everything. Things went a lot smoother when people were happy. So I brought one other thing that you can try. This is a project that it took me about 10 years to complete. I found a really rare cacao bean in Peru, and over the last several years we've been working to graft multiple copies of that so that I can make more. So the cacao bean itself is a white color, but it has incredible flavor, but much less bitterness than other chocolates that I found. This is a 70% from that. So all that is cacao beans and cane sugar. And yes, there is some sugar in there. It's a 70%. But there also are components in cacao that help to regulate blood sugar. So many diabetics, if they have high quality dark chocolate, they're actually able to have that and not have any problems with it. Now, not all chocolates are created equally. So I always suggest that you go to somebody who makes it, a local artisan maker. There's a couple around here. We make great chocolate, but not, I'm not really here promoting us. I'm here promoting chocolate. I'm passionate about it. I've been doing this. I've taught classes on chocolate and health all over the world for the last 20 years, and it's one of my favorite things to do. If you like my products, great, it's awesome, but you can find plenty of chocolate products out there by others. I'm just gonna...
I'll promote him. He's down off of South Hartman, right down the way. So really close, local, great stuff.
We are really good chocolate makers. I've been winning awards since my first year on the international level with the quality of our chocolate. So we know what we're doing, and my wife and I sold our business, Creole Brew, a couple of years ago, and now the business that we have is just a passion thing. It's for our family. We want our kids to have jobs. They love working in it. They love talking about it. Like, you tell people you're a chiropractor, and they're like, oh, that's fun. You tell them you make chocolate, and you got best friends for life. So I'm just gonna highlight very quickly. I've probably already gone over.
You're good. You're good.
There's a printout I put back there that has 7 ways cacao can improve women's health. Magnesium is going to be one of those main things. It helps to reduce stress and anxiety. Magnesium is one of those things, but also the serotonin, the theobromine, the phenylethylamine, and the anandamide. Those are 5 things that really help to regulate your mood. Mood swings and PMS, also the magnesium and the phenylethylamine are directly linked to that. One of the reasons why particular time of the month you crave chocolate, there actually are physiological reasons, because there are things in chocolate that make you feel better. Energy, it's good for heart health. The specific flavonoids in cacao are the ones that have been most highly associated and linked with the heart health benefits. Not all antioxidants. So if you see, oh, we have a 10,000 ORAC, that may not mean anything, because some of those particular antioxidants may not be able to be absorbed by the body. So don't really judge everything based off of the ORAC score. Focus on which flavonoids are included, and the combinations in chocolate are the best ones. It's great for bone health. Again, the magnesium helps your body to be able to absorb that calcium so that your bones need. It's great for, the antioxidants are good for skin health, lots of other things for hormonal balance. One of the great things that I found about chocolate is it's an adaptogenic compound. There's lots of adaptogens in there. If you need calm, you can get calm. If you need energy, you can get energy. It really is amazing that way. I have ADHD off the charts, and you would think giving me theobromine would make that worse because it's a stimulant. It actually calms me down. I can drink it right before I go to bed, and it helps me sleep better than before. But it also, if you need energy, you can drink it and it will give you that energy. So it's really cool. I hope that you guys enjoyed them, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, let me know. I'll get back with you. I've got all sorts of papers that I've written up I can send. If you want to learn any more, I love sharing knowledge.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, so there are some more samples back there, so if at any point you want to go back and snag some more, feel free. What's up? Do you have more papers? There's a couple over there on the table over there. Yeah. All right, cool. So everybody good? Anybody need to stand up and like spin in a circle, anything like that? Like we're not like, okay, we're good? Yeah, okay, cool. So we'll have, yes.
How do we get the chocolate? Like, do we order something?
Down off of South Hartman,
Oh,
they have a full store, and they
So
have.
you go straight to the end of this road, right when it hits South Hartman, we're like literally on that corner on the left.
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah, straight down Maple Street here. Yeah, and they have like a cafe, and they've got chocolate dressings for chicken salads, like all sorts of stuff.
We have healthy stuff, but we also have all the stuff that he might not want you to eat all the time. We've got it all there. Again, this is like everything, healthy and as much sugar as you want. We have a lunch menu. Everything's made with chocolate of some sort.
Yeah, he's like a cartel dude for chocolate. He's crazy. Okay, we'll bring up Erin and Lisa now to start off the other part of the conversation, unless there's any other things we want to talk about. So, ladies, I'm going to have you do a quick introduction, just like 60 seconds, just high level what you do and why you like to help ladies, and like maybe 2 minutes, okay? Not too long. And then we're going to go through we're going to do a quick survey, and then we're going to do some quick questions, okay? All right. The microphone. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Furness. I'm a nurse practitioner. I have a practice in Mount Juliet. It's called Vital Living, and so it's a functional medicine practice, but we also do hormone replacement. I have done hormones for over 20 years, helping women navigate perimenopause and menopause. So we really approach things from a holistic standpoint because we know that it doesn't trying to be fast here.
So, talk about before you were in your current practice, what you did for a living.
Well, I've been a nurse practitioner for 20 years, so I worked in conventional medicine, and so I did GYN, Urogyne, sexual dysfunction, pelvic pain, all of that. And so just a little bit about my personal story. Part of what led me to functional medicine is I'm a breast cancer survivor, and so I went through all the different treatments and came out on the other side, and essentially everyone was like, yay, you lived. But there's no transition to health from there. And so I had to basically navigate my way back to having quality of life. And that really led me down the functional path and wanting to launch Vital Living. So I studied for about 2 years doing functional medicine and opened up Vital Living so that I can help people have quality of life. And I tell people all the time, my job isn't to extend your lifespan, it's to extend your health span, meaning I want you to be able to live to be 90 years old, vibrant, not 90-year-olds being miserable. So, does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Cool. Thanks. Awesome.
And what you tell people that you do is very similar to what I tell people that I do. Because I don't want to live. Well, what's the best way to say that? Well, first off, hi, I'm Erin Crawford. I guess I should go into that. And I am a holistic nutrition and root cause practitioner. My story started similarly with cervical cancer that came back a total of 4 times in my early 20s, 20, 21, and 22. And it was with the 4th diagnosis that I just looked at the oncologist and I said, why am I here again? I keep doing everything that you say. I've done all the surgeries. You told me I'll never be a mom now. Like, why am I here? And he was like, well, you just need to do chemo and radiation now. And I wasn't very happy with that answer, and so this was card catalog days. So I left that appointment and I went to the library and I started studying what is cancer, why is cancer, and I very quickly realized the nutritional and lifestyle component and how my lifestyle as a 20-year-old college student who had grown up in a family that only ate fast food and did everything that the doctor said without questioning them had led me to that point. So from there, it just started a snowball going downhill of learning everything I could get my hands on about nutrition, about holistic health, about how the body is innately capable of healing. And I have now been helping women for about 14 years. Well, first I do specialize in prenatal and fertility. But hi, Jules.
I'm a prime example.
Her work works. She's my wife's fertility coach. We're due in September. So. Thank you.
But as I entered my 30s and got towards the end of my 30s, and I started having more and more clients who were in perimenopause and menopause and going through that life transition. And so it's been a really great transition for me as far as my career to be helping women go through this kind of transition, because as Lisa said, we want you to live as vibrantly as possible. And it's not about, it's so much about today's modern health is about like suffering as long as you can. And it's like, no, I want to live without suffering as long as I can.
Great, cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so on the little handout here, we have some very scientific stats on menopause that I put together this morning. And so the first one, this is based on anecdotally from women I talked to, 30, 60, 100%. How many women worry about perimenopause and menopause? What do you think?
6%.
So probably closer to 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Of the ladies I talked to. I don't know, maybe I just get those. So and then of those people, how many struggle with it? 100%. Yeah. You're right. And then of all numbers, how many are proactive against it?
23.
Probably closer to 2%. I mean, like some ladies think they are doing the right thing, but truly being proactive against it's like, I don't know, like that's why I wanted to bring these ladies here. And also like highlight that as kudos to you ladies for wanting to be proactive and wanting to make the right steps. And hopefully this event can help point you in the right direction of everything about it. And we've got sections on here so you can fill out, like my wife takes notes at church and it's just all over the place. I thought like, I'll just make the same thing for y'all. And, yeah, it'll help you organize all the thoughts and write things down and remember it. All right, so we are a gym. We're gonna cover the gym stuff real quick first here with these two. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have them stand back to back and they're gonna hold the hand out and they're gonna either go thumbs up or thumbs down for the style of workout and diet that I say. Okay?
For menopause.
For menopause, for ladies in general.
Okay.
Like what is good, what is bad. And so you're not going to see each other's answers.
Okay.
If you disagree, then we can have a quick talk.
Okay.
I'm hoping you guys will just agree on everything that I said.
We just got to chit chat. I think we might. So.
Okay, all right, cool. So let's go ahead and stand up. We'll go back to back.
Okay.
What if
See what
there's
the
a depends?
experts have to
Yeah,
say.
there's
There is a lot of gray. There is a lot of gray. Okay,
So much
so high intensity interval training. Thumbs up and a. What are you doing over there, Lisa? I can't see. Oh, thumbs up. Okay, thumbs up.
wasn't sure where I'm
Okay.
supposed to
Okay. All right. What about something like CrossFit? Thumbs sideways, thumbs down. Okay. All right. What about keto? Okay, middle thumb. Okay. All right. So surprisingly, so far, like some disagree.
Yeah.
What about cardio, like obsessive cardio? Obsessive cardio, down all the time. Okay. What about like going out for walks? Thumbs up. Okay. What about weight training? Totally self-serving question there. Yeah. Any other one? What about vegetarianism, veganism? Little happy thumb over there. Okay. Any other ones that you guys want to ask about? Mediterranean diet. Thumbs up. Okay.
Fasting.
Fasting. Great question.
That's a depends.
Depends. All right. We got a hard thumbs down and a depends.
I
Okay.
like her answer.
You like her answer? Okay. Any other ones you guys want to test the ladies on? Carnivore, which is kind of keto. Yeah. So thumbs down and sideways thumb. Wow. Okay. Cool. I was actually kind of surprised. Any other ones you want to throw out at him?
Did you already ask about interval training? What-
Yeah. Like high intensity interval training.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did say that. I
Yep.
just- The high intensity, I just put listening after that.
Anything else? Anything else you want to ask about? What about not working out? Thumbs down. Thumbs down. Okay. What about alcohol? What about chocolate? Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, the good stuff from Durci.
The good stuff.
Yeah. Any other questions from the audience? Alcohol, coffee, caffeine? Depends. Depends. Any other thoughts? Any other hot buttons we want to? Is the Earth flat or round? All right, fine. Is Sasquatch real? Yes, he is real. Okay, cool. All right, that's it. All right, so that just goes to show, like even with the experts we have here, there's still some disagreement between.
Just so much nuance.
Between there's a lot of nuance, and that's really where I wanted to go in this conversation now. Is like let's get into the nuance. Let's get into the not too nitty gritty, but more high level. Let's start with like your guys' like top 3 foundational lifestyle habits for like perimenopause, menopause, ladies who are like in it. Let's just go menopause. You're in it. Top 3 lifestyle habits.
Strength training.
Okay.
That
Why?
Just because, I mean, at the age of 30, you really, 30 to 35, you start to lose muscle mass and bone mass. So once you're fully into menopause, it has just increased from that point forward. And strength training not only gains muscle, but it also increases bone mass. And one of the leading causes of death for women is broken bones, falling, fractures, that kind of thing. And so that's definitely
So, yeah. Strength training.
strength training. Eating enough protein. That's a big one because again, protein is going to help you gain muscle, strengthen your bones. It's going to support hormones. It's going to support thyroid. Typically supports gut health, which gut health can lead to gut health is immune system, mental health, hormone health, all of it. And a lot of people don't put those connections together with the gut. So let's see, strength training, protein, third one. Stress management.
Noted. Writing that one down.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people think that they can just keep pushing through, and there will be a breaking point, and it's a lot of time during menopause. So.
Go into that a little bit more.
In which way?
So stress management during menopause. Why does it create a breaking point during menopause?
Well, because you're already at such a low hormone state, and when the hormones are the messengers of the body, and so if that is already low and stress is high, then that stress hormone cortisol, that is the hormone that is also going to cause you to put on more body fat, which then further stresses the body. It also has a down-regulating effect on thyroid function. It degrades more bone. There we get back to bone health. Bone health is just so important in menopause, and well, perimenopause. But stress management can really make or break someone's daily life.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
So actually, I agree with all three that she said. I'm going to piggyback on a couple of things there. So protein, it's built of amino acids. Amino acids are basically the building blocks of all of your cellular function. So you basically cannot grow anything without having those amino acids. Let's see here. You said
Strength training,
and
stress management.
breaking bones. There's some studies out that show that women who break a hip past age 50, it was like 25% of them will die within 1 year. So yeah, past age 50.
Yeah.
You don't hear that? So that's a big deal. And then you said stress management, and we were talking about cortisol, so it degrades bone health. But it also, cortisol is actually protective to a point, so it's anti-inflammatory, and then it becomes inflammatory. So, and then the inflammation will also continue to degrade bone health. And brain health, yes. So, but if I had to add on to that, I would say sleep. We want sleep, because our body cannot heal. But we heal during the sleep process, but our body also cannot heal in a stress state.
I think the sleep is like the foundation of stress management.
Yes, it is. So I would say limit your sugar intake, because sugar is very inflammatory. And then a third one. Let's see here.
It's like
Coming up with
there are so many that it's hard to.
Yes. So I actually have some clients in here. What do I always talk to y'all about? Now that I'm on the spot. Let's see here. And then just in general, just getting out, and like he actually said walking. I think a good walk every day. So getting your feet on the ground, grounding, so fresh air, deep breathing. I could go on and on. But
And I know that grounding always sounds so woo-woo to
Yeah.
so many people, but you literally share electrons with the earth that decrease pain levels, decrease inflammation, literally make you happier, kind of like the chocolate, you know? So it's so important to be in contact with the earth. This is why beach trips are great.
So I was just drawing a little diagram over there. Oh, hey, Rudy. Petting dogs is also really helpful
Yes,
for
That's
stress levels. You're a good boy. What are you doing? What are you? Oh, are you thirsty? So let's go into like root cause. Like, why do the hormones start to go down over time? Like, I'm honestly asking as like an
okay.
yeah. Why does that happen? And yeah.
On the verge of
So essentially, our ovaries is what produces our estrogen, and it's what also helps produce a lot of our testosterone. So as we get older, our ovaries actually start to go deaf, and so we have our brain is talking to our ovaries, and we start producing more hormones, and to tell our ovaries to work, and essentially they start getting selective hearing in perimenopause, and so we might not ovulate as well. And as we so as we are going through menopause, you might start to skip periods during perimenopause and things like that. That's when your ovaries aren't listening so much. But then you have a period with one that you might have ovulated, so it paid attention to what was going on. I'm trying to keep it at a very low level. But so it's just basically ovaries are starting to go deaf there. And so when they go completely deaf and they're not paying attention anymore, that's when we're actually in menopause. So after you've not had a period for 1 whole year. And if you go 11 months and 28 days and then you have a period, we start the count all over again. So, yes.
We can
So
see that. We can see that.
why do the ovaries go deaf? Is it our environment? Is it our stress management, our sleep, like those things you were mentioning, or is it just?
Just biologic how the body's made.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's supposed to happen. Menopause is not a disease.
It's not.
And menopause is just a transition in life. Just like as we go into puberty and our hormones are ramping up, they have to ramp back down. So it's just natural transition. Yes, ma'am?
What do you think about hormone, the hormone replacement or whatever it is they try to get you to do?
I think hormone replacement is great. I'm not anti-hormone replacement. Can I just take the floor for just a second?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay, I'll run with this one. Okay, so back in, sorry.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry, got the mic. So back in like 2002, we had a big study that came out called the WHI study, and basically it said, whoa, everybody stop hormones because it's gonna cause breast cancer. And then it came in and said, and it might also cause some cardiovascular issues and maybe even a little bit of dementia. And then when we actually started reading the study, we realized that the study was a very, very flawed study. And what that study did was it used synthetic hormones that our body does not naturally make, and it put women who were 10 plus years outside of menopause. Average age of menopause is around 51, 52 years old. And so it put women who were in their 60s plus on these synthetic hormones, and then we started seeing a slight increased risk in breast cancer. The greatest risk of developing breast cancer is between age 64 and 68. And so if we're already there and then they saw a slight increased risk, then they said that was statistically significant, and they decided to release the results and halt the study. We've now debunked the study at least 13 times, and we have seen that using bioidentical hormones that our body naturally makes, there is 0 increased risk of developing breast cancer. It's actually cardiovascular protective. It also prevents dementia, and we protect the bones, which we've both talked a lot about, osteoporosis, osteopenia. And so the study was just very flawed, and even the study itself just released another statement that said, it was just within the past month, to say, you know what, maybe we overblew that just a little bit. So we don't know what there was to gain on that. It undid about 40 years worth of data that we had prior, showing the benefits of hormones. But what I tell women is that even from when that study was released, they never pulled the actual products off the market that they said was so dangerous to women. But we have an entire generation of women that missed out on hormones for the most part because so many practices overnight quit prescribing and women were no longer allowed to have their hormones. Now, I started practicing as a nurse practitioner right when that study came out, and I had the benefit of working with a couple of amazing providers who are like, whoa, we're still gonna give women their hormones. So I've actually always prescribed it. But even in women who, if they can't tolerate bioidentical for some reason, we still will use the synthetics because they didn't pull the product from the market. Even in that study, it was just such a slightly increased risk that there was no reason to pull it. So I hope that was a long answer, but I did want people to know that they're not dangerous. So
Not everybody that goes through menopause needs hormones, right? Or do they?
I think they do.
Should we talk about what menopause is?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, like you were just saying, so many people want to talk about balancing hormones in menopause, but menopause is a hormone deficient state. There aren't hormones to balance.
Yes.
And so if you're trying to balance things that aren't there, that's where bioidentical hormone replacement or hormone replacement comes in and can be so helpful in quality of life and helping you get the most out of your days. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the studies, hold on, I'll let the train go through.
Train's real loud.
Kind of love
Yeah.
that.
known of someone who had a massive heart attack, a female who had a massive heart attack around 55, 58, 60, somewhere in there. It's usually because the lack of hormones there. We know that the hormone replacement decreases the risk of colon cancer. Yes, and that was shown across all studies. There's so much benefit to it, but that little slight risk of breast cancer is what stole the show and really prevented a lot of women. So yes, I think all women should be on hormone replacement if they choose. I'm never gonna make anybody go on it, but if they choose, there's so many benefits to it. Yes, ma'am.
So when they are at their doctor's office and the doctor is recommending hormone replacement therapy, should they then say, I wanna make sure that it's not synthetic, I wanna make sure it's a bioavailable? Is there something that they need to say or
Yes,
request?
they can just say, can I have a bioidentical option,
Okay.
which estradiol is bioidentical, it's available at your regular pharmacy, and prometrium is bioidentical, or micronized progesterone is bioidentical. So it's progestins that are not bioidentical.
Okay.
So, but all of the estradiols are bioidentical. Well, I won't say that. In the study that they used, it was Pro, which had conjugated equine estrogen and a progestin. So that would be the one that you would want to avoid. Good question. Yes.
I've been told that I can't have hormone replacement therapy because my mom had the hormone-linked or hormone-positive breast cancer. Do you agree with that?
I disagree with that. You personally did not have breast cancer, just your mom.
Just my
you
mom.
just had a family history of it. So that
And my
doesn't
sister's been told the same thing too.
Yeah, so
But-
no, that does not exclude you from being able to utilize hormone replacement, so. And there's even some studies that are coming out, and it's a different topic for a different day, but there's some studies that are coming out that are showing that even patients who've had hormone positive breast cancers can then use hormones down the road, so. Cause it's not the hormone, that's kind of the victim.
Well, I have a really quick question, but, so I actually don't know what a hot flash is. Everybody talks about having hot flashes. What is that?
You'll know, right?
Yeah, you'll know.
Yeah.
Do you want, what it feels like?
Well, I mean, how do we know if you're having a hot flash?
You'll know.
You'll know, but you feel like
Feel like you're
you're.
standing on a fire.
Yeah, it's almost like it from the inside out, like you're heating up from the inside out.
Is that during perimenopause or?
That can happen during perimenopause,
Oh, good.
or into menopause, so. And just so that you know, like for menopausal, for vasomotor symptoms, which is like hot flashes, night sweats, 25% of women have like 0 to mild symptoms. 50% of women have moderate symptoms, 25% of women have severe symptoms.
And those are
So-
the ones we seem to always hear about, and so we are made to fear this very natural transition in our lives. And it's sad because it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a terrible thing, yeah.
Exactly.
Can I bring up one thing about your
Absolutely.
original question about
Yeah.
the root cause?
And then we do have a question over here too.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
just didn't want to
That's
miss
okay.
that
Go,
before.
go right ahead. No, before I.
Let me go ahead and ask?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so if we choose not to do hormone replacement therapy, do we just need to like amp up our efforts otherwise to make sure, okay?
Yes, that's when a lot of the nutrition and lifestyle comes in, yeah. That
Which
wasn't
should be
what
part
you-
of it with the
It
hormones.
should be, and
Yes.
that's,
It's not an either or,
yes.
as far as like the nutrition and lifestyle.
Yep, because the nutrition and lifestyle, working out, strength training, all of that's only going to increase the benefits from hormone replacement. But if you don't do hormone replacement, then these other factors become even more important because you are at a low, no hormone state. He had originally asked about root cause. I want to take it back like 20 years. And root cause, so yes, you're going to, it's just a natural, menopause is just a natural stage of life. But the severity of the symptoms that one may experience during menopause definitely comes from states of depletion, over cardio, too much cardio, too high stress levels, too little movement, sedentary lifestyle, or just unhealthy diets in general, starting a good 20 years before menopause. And so that is where, for your, any younger friends or daughters or anything, have them start, really focus focusing on eating well, moving their bodies earlier, because that will definitely make the entire menopause experience better. And so when you had asked about root cause, I was like, well, I think there's more of a root for the
Yes.
symptoms that you may experience than it's just a natural life thing that you will go through.
Cool. Is there a like dead stop date, like it will start happening? Is it like 45, 55? It just kind of depends.
No, we start going into menopause. Women start hitting perimenopause, which is just a slow decline in women start going into perimenopause around age 35-ish, and it's just a slow decline in progesterone. So as your progesterone levels just kind of slowly decline, you may start feeling a hot flash or irritability or irregular periods or difference in your bleeding profile, mood swings, those types of things. A lot of people think that it's their estrogen bottoming out, but your estrogen is more like this. It's like a crazy roller coaster until it gets all the way down to nothing. But the progesterone is just that nice little slow decline.
Huh?
I agree.
And so I had a really insightful question, but I forgot it. And I feel, just to let you know, I feel very ill-equipped to like lead this conversation. We'll never have to face this problem, but I want to help ladies who do. And I guess one of the things that had frustrated me when I first opened the gym was having ladies working out, busting their butt, and not seeing any progress. And then like when I finally got like a nutrition plan dialed in, I started to see some progress. And I put it to like high protein, like the nutrition plan we have now is usually like anywhere from 120 to 180 grams of protein a day, which is way more than ladies usually eat.
And it even, the need for protein increases by the year as you age.
Oh, so you need to get more, yeah, because your muscles start to go away.
And
Yeah,
protein, so many people will just think calcium when it comes to bone, but it's protein. Protein builds your bone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no calcium supplements.
And no calcium supplements. They
Yeah.
can actually calcify. Oh, there is a
I have
question.
just a question about protein. How do you get that much protein in a day eating whole, real, natural food?
So I personally don't eat any type of protein powders, any type of protein bars, anything like that. So I am happy to answer that question.
Okay, because I've tried and
And-
I just don't know what to do.
Well, so in general, the number one thing I see with women who come to me, especially if they want to lose weight or gain strength, the number one thing that I tend to see from a nutrition standpoint is that they are under eating. They are not overeating. That is 9 out of 10 women come to me in general under eating, which has by the year decreased their metabolism, or they're fasting. And there are times where you can apply fasting, in my opinion, and it worked well, but that is very rarely, in my opinion. And so they are going 18, 20 hours a day without any food, and then when they do eat, they can only stomach so much, and then they're automatically under eating again. So, not that I'm saying that this is with your case, but so many of the cases that I see when someone struggles to get protein in is because they have essentially trained themselves to not eat enough, which has decreased their overall hunger cues that their body even makes. So they may wake up and not feel hungry all day, and then, they might have a snack and dinner. But that's not a good thing. That is actually a sign of increased cortisol, that stress hormone I was talking about. And so really it's going to come down to one of my biggest tips is to have your first meal, make it protein heavy first thing, and typically within 30 to 60 minutes of waking, because that literally fuels you for the day. And then it takes some pre-planning, it does. But if you go with leaner cuts of protein, that's typically easier to get more protein per serving and per meal as well. But it is possible. It's almost like if you struggle with getting all that in, you kind of almost have to take it in stair-step approach to get more in, by the week, by the month, that kind of thing. And it will start to feel more and more natural as your body becomes more accustomed to it. But you can do it completely through whole foods, I promise.
Yeah, it's a skill set to build.
It is.
Yeah,
Kinda
and
like
something to
training.
work on. Yeah, just like surgery. Yep.
So one of the questions about protein is that I think you said you recommend 120 to 180 grams. Most women are probably eating on average less than 30 grams of protein a day. And so most of the time you're not gonna be able to jump up to the 120 or 180 grams. As she said it, you need to stair step it up. You need to set a goal. I'm gonna get 50 grams, I'm gonna get 70 grams, I'm gonna get 80 grams. It's not gonna be an overnight sensation of trying to, you know, like, ooh, look at me, I managed to
You
get up to
literally,
this.
like, your stomach's elastic.
Mhm.
So if you have been under eating, then it's like this, and you kind of have to train it to hold more.
Exactly. But your body also has to learn how to process that. And so sometimes what I see is that women who are trying to eat too much will start to see some negative impacts on kidney function because they cannot process all of that protein. So, you know, just build it up slowly. Set small goals. It's kind of like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Very high in protein.
Yes, very high in protein.
Very high in
Exactly,
protein.
very
Yeah.
high in protein. And then she also touched on something. So a lot of women do undereat. So when you think about it, your body's sole job is to survive. And when you're under eating, your metabolism is gonna naturally slow down so that you can survive and stay alive. That in the wisdom of your body, that's its job. So we want to actually eat enough to actually increase your metabolism to actually help you lose the fat, lose the weight that you're looking for.
I was just gonna add, so one of the things that Erin always says to me that I have to retell myself every single day is start with your protein with your meals. So every meal, plan the protein first, because that sometimes is my downfall, is I don't, and I'm like, well, I really want tacos, and I plan all the other stuff, but I don't weigh out my meat, or I don't plan my meat first, so you really wanna plan the protein first. That's always something that we're really
I'm so
good
proud.
Yes.
Don't remember where I was going, but that's okay.
Yeah, so one point on the protein part is like I tell people, or like ladies in particular, like you can't get protein. The only way you can get protein if you're not eating it is if you metabolize your own muscles. So like you are literally, if you are eating 30 grams of protein a day, you're like functionally a zombie, and you're like eating your own muscles to fuel your brain, to fuel your organs, to fuel your hormones. And so even like getting up to like 50, 80, like you'll start feeling better, even though it feels like an insurmountable task.
I ate 2 pork chops.
Yeah, she had 2 pork chops posted on Instagram, and it was like,
I had 70 grams of protein before I got here because I knew I was missing a meal.
Yeah. One thing that I want to talk about, so the initial step, like when a lady starts to think like, oh, I might be going to perimenopause, menopause, like I'm thinking blood work, what other like first steps should they do? Like, or even like before they even hit to that point, should they get blood work done, see where everything's at? Like what's some general good health guidelines? And like, where do you see, because your analysis of Jules's blood work is way different than other people who looked at it.
Yeah.
And just like, where are the shortcomings of Western medicine's look of, because you guys are in the functional space, the shortcomings of traditional like markers, like the doctor's like, well, cholesterol's a little high, triglycerides a little low, let's bump those numbers down or whatever, you know, like that's it, and then they send you out the door with a statin prescription.
Yeah.
So like that's not helpful.
No.
So talk a little bit.
So downfalls of more traditional Western medicine, I would say, is that they are just looking at reference ranges and they, oh, if you're in that reference range, you're average. Well, if you have taken a look around our today's population, I don't want to be the average of today's population. And so unfortunately, they're so often just looking for you to be in this range, not in the optimal, like just be within range, not be optimal. And so that is the biggest downfall. And then unfortunately, a lot of modern Western medicine is very much, it's about selling drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
treat symptoms.
Yes.
it's symptom management, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't address the root cause. And so cholesterol is a perfect example. Your liver makes your own cholesterol. And so if you're also, eating a lot of inflammatory oils or sugar, that kind of thing, your liver becomes extremely congested. Your liver, which is responsible for detoxing out excess hormones and that kind of thing from the body, can't do its job. And then there's just a million downstream effects from that. And unfortunately, but you were within range, right? Or you were high, here's a drug. And that doesn't address any of the other that's going on.
Well, the
Good,
starting
yeah.
point for all of your sex hormones.
Yeah.
So you
It's
need it. So we
converted by
actually
the
don't
liver.
want to drive it down to its lowest points, because then you have nothing to make your hormones with. So,
Right, so opposite of what we've been told for forever.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And actually, well,
It makes your brain matter.
yeah, it makes sure, yeah, exactly. So you have to have those lipids. So,
You have to.
and I'm not saying everybody stop your cholesterol medication,
No.
although you come to see me, we'll work on it.
See her, you know,
Yeah.
slowly come off of it.
But I mean, if you look at the studies on statins, there's the data actually shows that it doesn't prevent a cardiovascular event. So, just saying.
Yeah.
I forget what the original question was. Sorry.
No, that was very insightful.
Okay.
Any thoughts on that from the crowd, as far as,
Or questions?
yeah?
So I refuse to do cholesterol medicine, but, what about blood pressure? Is that,
Blood pressure very, very often comes down to nutrition and stress management, but also bad nutrition causes more stress on your body, which makes your stress management harder. So and then also Western medicine, modern Western medicine will very often tell you that to avoid salt, for instance, but salt is the mineral that transports the nutrients across the cell membrane and into your cells. And when you have high blood pressure, your cells are starving for nutrients, and to avoid salt completely is further starving your cells. And so it's very nutrition based when it comes to blood pressure.
I hate modern medicine.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a current client. I'll just go into a little case study here for you. She came to me. She is tall. She's like 6'1". She is she came to me about 350 pounds. Had been keto for the last decade, and yeah, she was and so it took a lot of talking to her to convince, but we started slowly introducing more and more carbs, slowly bringing in more salt, and she's down to about 280 now, and at 6'1" for a woman, she's actually that's not too bad, and she's very, very active in the gym, but she's now up to 200 carbs a day, whole foods. She's with keto, she was doing low protein. I've got her up to 200 grams of protein per day now, 200 grams of carbs a day now, and she came off all of her high blood pressure medication. That was the main reason she first came to me. Yeah. So it's all dietary, not all, but it's very dietary based. Anything to add there? No. Okay.
And the reason I brought up the blood work, it was like looking at the way the liver processes things and like foods and whatnot. I wanted to like have like a very honest conversations about food and like how we're programmed to eat crappy, and how we can start to break out of that cycle to get more proteins, have better meals. You view your food intake as a means to an end rather than an enjoyment in itself. Like you can still enjoy food,
Yes.
but like not all it's not the only purpose in your life. Is like, oh, I'm gonna really enjoy this thing, or it's like I'm gonna hide in shame. I'm gonna go eat a bunch of ice cream or roll through McDonald's the second time today. And so like having a conversation about that to I guess point out where all the problems that stem from nutrition and what we can do to like build a skill set of health rather than just throwing money at Western medicine.
So what is the actual question?
Talk about throw some more like hard truths, I guess,
Oh,
like
okay.
some hard truths about nutrition.
Do you want to?
Oh, just
No.
you actually said like using food as like a means to an end. So I tell people, this is an analogy I use. If you had a quarter tank of gas, how many of you think that you could get from here to Florida on a quarter tank of gas? Could we even get to the Alabama state line? No. But we expect our bodies to do it all day long. We choose not to feed it. We choose not to fuel it with the appropriate food sources, and then we don't understand why we are not functioning well, why our stress levels are so high, why our cortisol levels are so high, why we're irritable, why we're not, why we injure ourselves working out. So food is your starting point. It's the gas to your car, and you also wouldn't go just put watered down gas in your car. You're gonna put the good stuff in your car. Or jet fuel, yeah.
Which is what I call fast food.
There you go, exactly.
It'll blow up a car.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you have to look at it as why am I utilizing it? You're trying to sustain your body. So look at it as your fuel source and your energy source of how you're gonna get through your day.
And I think that is at the root, just the honest truth of it. Now, unfortunately, there is also a very psychological component to that, because our modern food has literally been manufactured to keep you addicted and wanting more and wanting more and wanting more. And one of the only ways to break that is to just not have it. But that is really psychologically difficult. So again, stair-step process. Yeah. And then sugar is added to everything. I'm not going to just completely say that every single seed oil is terrible, but that's canola oil, that's sunflower seed oil. Gosh, it's pretty much
Corn oil, which isn't a seed, but yeah.
vegetable oils. So essentially, if it's not an avocado, so avocado is a fruit, coconut is a fruit, so fruit oils tend to be much healthier for you, but unfortunately, all these foods that are so manufactured and patented and all of that now, that's not what they have in them. So the more and more and more actual, real, whole foods that you can have, the better you automatically are, the better your cells run. And when I think, so it's really easy though to say, okay, is this real food or not? Is it meat, fruit, or vegetables? Because outside of that, it's probably not real food. Yeah.
Good. What?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, I know we've talked a lot about protein,
Yeah.
but what other foods, especially for those of us that are in menopause, what other foods besides the proteins are foods that you would recommend that we focus on and that we eat?
So that's a great question. So again, just real whole foods, making sure that that the base of all of your meals is meat, fruit, and vegetables. But also, so like walnuts, for instance, that's not meat, fruit, or vegetable, but those are great for brain health, and those are really good healthy fats. Avocados, again, more healthy fats. Someone had asked about Mediterranean diet earlier. I think you and I both gave a thumb up to that. But unfortunately, with what is very commonly spoken about when Mediterranean diet is brought up, is not really the true Mediterranean diet. The true Mediterranean diet, because what's pushed is very heavy, is almost in a lot of nuts and seeds and olive oil, which I'm not saying anything bad about those, but a real true Mediterranean diet comes back down to heavy protein. They eat a lot of fish and that kind of stuff, which omegas, so fish in general. Accidentally stumbled into that correct answer there. And yeah, if you just make the focus the real actual food, you're going to be much better off.
What about eggs?
Eggs, yes, and especially if they can be local and free range and all that good stuff too. I think you all have chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've gotten pictures of chickens before. I really like eggs for most people, but I also see egg whites and or egg yolks be a common allergy or something sensitivity. Thank you. So it comes down to the individual, but that's with pretty much everything.
It's all individualized.
Did that hopefully answer some of your question? Okay.
So histamine is something that you've talked to me a lot about too. Is that something that still affects women in menopause and perimenopause?
So yes, so histamine is interesting. We often think of histamine as just the stuffy nose and the running, the postnasal drip and watery eyes, maybe itchy ears, that kind of thing. But histamine is it is an inflammatory response from the body, again, trying to protect you. But you see more of that around puberty and kind of 20s, 30s, and perimenopause, not so much. Menopause as bad, and that's because histamine and estrogen are highly linked. Anytime estrogen goes up, histamine automatically goes up, or anytime histamine goes up, estrogen automatically goes up, but menopause is a low estrogen state. So, yeah, but I see it a lot in perimenopause when estrogen levels are going like this, people have a lot of histamine flares.
It also comes, we also see a lot of histamine issues whenever you have poor gut health. And whenever we eat the standard American diet, then a lot of people will have poor gut health. So if we can fix the gut, we can fix a lot of those histamine issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Histamine starts in the gut.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you go about fixing the gut?
We
You
need a
have
whole
30 seconds.
we need a
30
whole
seconds.
just
Yeah.
talk night on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna start with your diet, and then eliminating foods that that you feel like aggravate any of your symptoms. And so I do a lot. I have a lot of patients do like trial gluten elimination, dairy elimination. Doesn't have to be for forever, but long enough to see is that aggravating your symptoms. And then we stay off of it. If it is aggravating your symptoms, we stay off of it until we can reintroduce it without having your symptoms flare. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but that's like the first step. And then eating like mucilagenic foods like chia seeds and okra and asparagus, things like that to help with the gut. So, but lots of, and eating hygiene, like chewing thoroughly and eating slowly
So many
and
people
not.
take 2 bites and swallow.
Yes,
It needs to
exactly.
be applesauce consistency by the time you swallow.
Yes.
Or your body has a difficult time digesting it.
Exactly. So there's a ton to gut health.
So
and
much.
you
And
can-
gut
you
health
can-
starts in the mouth.
Yes, exactly.
Brush your teeth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of gut infections are actually microbes that have started it with dental health. So dental health can have a big impact on hormones as well. And that's why it's important to take care of.
I don't have a section on here for
No,
that.
sorry.
So, somebody mentioned hot flashes earlier. What about sleep? Like waking up in the middle of the night, getting poor sleep, and then you're foggy. It just seems to be like a reinforcing cycle. And then they over-caffeinate and more stress and all that kind of stuff. What's a great way to try to get out of that?
So sleep, a lot of women are gonna wake up a lot during the night. So my first question is, when do you wake up? Is it between 12 and 2 or 2 and 4? So if you're waking up between 12 and 2, it's usually an insulin response. If you're waking up between 2 and 4, it's usually a cortisol response. So if it's insulin, I usually have people eat a protein snack before bed. If it's cortisol, that can be actually related to your progesterone going lower. They help to balance each other out. So we may start them on progesterone. But if it's also an adrenal dysfunction, we start working on your stress levels, things like to help keep you from having that early awakening cortisol response. So, I don't think, what do you want to add?
Can I-
Try to be fast, sorry.
No.
You're good. No, take your time.
Deep breathing, deep belly breathing, and breathing into your belly. So if just your chest is rising and your belly is not moving, that automatically tells the body that it's under a threat because it's shallow breathing. And so your body activates that fight or flight response and increases cortisol. So breathing, our breath is one of the greatest tools in our toolbox for optimal health, and it is so often ignored, and it's really sad. You were talking about the cortisol wake up. I have an interesting thing that I can actually show.
Yeah.
It's just a quick thing that you.
Okay. Yeah. Are
Okay.
you gonna test it on me?
No, I'm gonna do it right here.
Okay.
So it looks so silly, but it works. You're going to sit on a floor and move your butt all the way up to the wall and have your legs up and sit like this for 10 minutes before bed. And this will decrease your cortisol during the night.
And breathe.
And breathe while you do that. For 10 minutes.
There we go. Cool.
So, I don't know if you follow this account, but on Instagram, there is an account called soothing_breathe.
Soothing breathe? No. I'm not
Yes,
going to follow.
and you can click on any of the diagrams. She has a diagram with written instructions on how to breathe, and then if you turn the audio up, you can listen to the audio and you can follow her graph. And so she has all different types of graphs to follow. So I'll have a lot of my patients go ahead and follow that when they're in my appointment. And so if I have a patient with high blood pressure, per se, I'll turn that on, and I've literally seen blood pressure lower 20 points with just doing 2 to 5 minutes of breathing. So if you wake up in the night and you can't get yourself calmed down, you can turn that on, follow the diagram and listen, and then set your phone down and you can continue to listen while you're doing the breathing. So it's
What was it called?
soothing_breathe. You're welcome.
Leanne Morgan likes it.
Oh, there you go.
There
Perfect.
So instead of being forgetful, normal menopause?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Forgetfulness, brain fog.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, ma'am.
Soothing_breathe.
Is that with E on the end or just breath?
Yeah, with an E,
Breath.
an E on the end, yes. And then it looks like a person wearing like a red cape, with their back to the camera, like maybe doing a yoga pose.
So we're coming up on an hour of talking about all this, and I just want to thank everybody and see if there's any final questions. And I'm going to close it with them giving like a quick message of hope and like just general guidelines, I guess, next steps. Leaving here on the back of this page, I've got big takeaways, and then I'm committed to working on. So if something really popped out to you of something that you want to work on, you can write that down in there and then just put it up on your fridge and have it be a daily reminder of like the skill set you want to build. You're not going to be perfect overnight, but working on it over time. So thank you all so much. Any other questions before I turn it over for final statements? Yeah.
I had a question about earlier when caffeine was brought up, and I think one of
Oh,
you was
please.
like up, down, and the other one, I think y'all were slightly off.
Okay.
So I'm just curious because I drink a lot of caffeine.
Okay.
Like all day long. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on caffeine and how that relates to menopause.
Where were you?
Just health in general.
It can be like,
Yes,
I was like
okay,
that, yeah.
I think, so my biggest takeaway with caffeine is make, if it's coffee in particular, make sure it's high quality. Coffee beans do tend to have a lot of mold and that kind of stuff in them. And
Is
so
Starbucks high quality?
it's got like 50 milligrams of
Okay.
pesticide.
Just
per
thought I'd ask.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So make sure it's high quality and don't have it on an empty stomach. Even if that means, waking up and having a small protein snack.
Yeah. Green
Protein
yogurt.
snack. Heck, even a piece of bacon, and a glass of water before coffee, because coffee is highly acidic. And so it can have a negative impact on the microbiome and on the gut health if it's just poured on an empty gut. So that's my two big things with caffeine is make sure it's not on an empty stomach, make sure it's high quality. And I used to be one of those people that would drink a pot of coffee throughout the day and go to bed 2 hours later after my last cup of coffee. Definitely as I hit more perimenopause that I started to feel caffeine more. I could definitely feel it hit my adrenals and increase my stress response more. So I now have a cutoff of 10 a.m. So I'm not saying that I don't have coffee or caffeine ever, but I personally have to implement a cutoff, and I cannot have it on an empty stomach or I'm jittery and that definitely leads to more anxiety attacks for me.
So I think a little bit of caffeine is okay, but I do think that you need to have a cutoff. Every time you consume caffeine, it's gonna cause, like she just actually said it, it's gonna cause your adrenals to pump out cortisol. Well, that's like telling your body, putting yourself into a fight or flight mode. And so if you continually give yourself caffeine, you're gonna go fight or flight, and then you're gonna crash down, fight or flight, crash down. Well, then you start leading towards adrenal dysfunction, and then you need more and more caffeine to get that spike. And then your body is actually gonna stop making so much cortisol. So you're gonna kind of go the other direction. So because you don't need it, you're gonna move it over to cortisone. And so you don't need it, but that's also, remember we talked about cortisol earlier and the inflammation that it causes. So cortisol is protective until it becomes, it's anti-inflammatory until it becomes inflammatory. So we're actually increasing inflammation in our body whenever we're drinking caffeine all day long. So, and then I agree with all the things she said about coffee being moldy and all of that. And we certainly don't want to reach for energy drinks because that's a whole nother ball game. But, so I think a little bit is fine, but not an all day, every day.
And I think there's one more question out there. Somebody have their hand raised? Yeah.
I have a question about back to the beef.
So I was listening to someone, they were saying that the big difference, like now is the grass-fed beef versus the traditional, farm-raised beef. And the issue with that is, they were saying is the omega-6s versus the omega-3s. The omega-3s are a lot higher than grass-fed.
Yes.
So, in your opinion, should we just not, only eat grass-fed, or is it self-defeating to
So-
eat the other beef, or what?
This is actually a topic that I love, so thank you for bringing this up. In today's world, and especially with inflation and everything, food costs being astronomical, especially meat right now, if you can afford grass-fed, then do it. But if there are any financial struggles, that kind of thing, and you're pretty much choosing to eat meat or not, just get having the meat is still going to be better for you than not having enough protein. So, but the grass-fed is going to be higher quality. Unfortunately, even when it comes to labeling with the FDA and all of that, they can put grass-fed on it, even if it wasn't 100% grass-fed. And so again, local, know your farmer. We are in an agricultural area. If you can know your farmer and get meat from the source, always the best. Yeah, but having the protein is better than just not having the protein. Agreed? Okay.
There's one thing about that. I do know there are farmers that do feed grass-fed the
Yes.
whole time, and then to finish it, then they
Do corn-fed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that is being truthful too. It's
Yeah.
specifically asking them,
Yes.
even though it may be local, do they finish off with that?
Exactly. Even if they are local, it doesn't mean that, yeah.
Right.
There are 3 in particular regenerative, 100% grass-fed farmers in the area that I am more than happy to give you all information on, and you can either order on their website. One of them has a weekly drop-off down in Hermitage, so just down Lebanon Road if you want to make the drive. And that's actually who I get all of my meat from, as far as chicken, beef, lamb, all of that. And it's pretty much comparable to store-bought prices right now. Yeah, but, so, yeah, I hope that's helpful.
Awesome. Well, we'll go into final message of hope,
Okay.
and we'll cut off there.
Okay. I think the biggest takeaway that I hope that you all can have is that menopause doesn't have to be terrible, and a fueled and nourished body is going to handle any life transition better. And so if you just start your day with that knowledge, you're already a step ahead.
I agree. So, I echo what she said, menopause, you don't have to suffer through it and you don't have to fear it. So, there's help available, whether it's through hormones or whether you are just wanting help to change your lifestyle. So, no matter what you do with changing your lifestyle, you're always gonna benefit some aspect of your body, so, and your health.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah. Oh, good job, Rudy. Good job.
I did a good
Oh
job.
my
Sad
goodness.
for a
Oh my
while
goodness.
between us. It was so cute. It was like, I'm presenting.
Yeah, I know. Cool. No, sorry. Do it.
What's the beef source? Hold on. No.